Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome to the Sports Shop 27. I'm your host, Jermaine Coulter. And to my far right, he was sitting there, but I got my main man, KJ, Kevin
You right
Johnson.
here, man.
There he is.
Yeah, we right.
99 to 2002. And also, today's special guest, this guy's from DeSoto, Texas. Played baseball with Chicago White Sox organization. This guy was I guess, high school prospect in the MLB, and he's doing some great things now. Y'all help me give it up for Mr.
Come on,
Kenneth.
man.
What's
How y'all
going on,
doing?
Kenneth?
Yeah, what's up,
Hey,
man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing well. How y'all doing today? Thank y'all
Oh,
for
we
having
doing.
me on. I appreciate it.
Hey,
I
no
appreciate
problem,
you,
man.
man.
Coming on, man. Thanks for being patient. It's storming this way. Sorry for the delay for everybody who's watching. So, Kenny, for the people that don't know,
You broke up a little bit.
Yeah. Let them know about your background and just where you from.
Okay. Yeah. I'm born and raised in Dallas, Texas. I'm 36 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I have a beautiful wife and three kids right now. Um, and of course, everybody wants to hear about the sports. I played baseball pretty much all my life. Um, played up until high school. Uh, did some great things on the field, and got recognized by not only colleges and professional teams, and decided to go the professional route out of high school, young 18, and through that played about 7-8 years in the minor leagues with White Sox, Giants, some independent leagues as well. And once I was done with that, started in real estate, got my license in 2012, started working for D.R. Horton for about 4 years as a sales manager, and then got my own license and own company in 2017, and been doing that in commercial real estate. And also I have a athlete platform that we're working on as well, where we empower athletes on and off the field through marketing and education. So still staying around the game, still hustling, of course. I'm just coming from training my three boys in baseball as well. So just a lifelong sports guy, lifelong player. I still try to stay in shape, still try to, if they call me, I'm ready. Let's just say that.
all right.
So, man, I understand, man. Congratulations so far,
Oh
man.
yeah.
What you're doing.
Thank y'all. Thank
But
y'all.
You
yeah,
you
for
got
sure.
to straight to the kids on the pathway in which you travel, even with the education part you just mentioned and the training and stuff. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Hey, so what age you start playing sports, and what sport was your first love growing up in Texas?
So everybody, so I started playing sports at 4, 5, baseball, t-ball, football. I didn't really like basketball, track, soccer, things like that. Football and baseball pretty much had my. I used to go to sleep with a football. I mean, that's where I was with football. Growing up, and
Mm-hmm.
that was my first, love in terms of I just love football. I love playing it. Love, doing things. But baseball, I was great at, and I loved it as well. So, it was always a tale of kind of two things, but I they meshed well because the seasons kind of offset a little bit. So I was able to thrive in both of them and not have them interfere with each other. But football was my first love. I was running back up until you get to junior high, and then they tell you, hey man, you're a little big for running back. We're gonna put you in line. So I played line. I played line in junior high. It's crazy to say I played line. And then one day, ironically, actually, it's like a couple weeks into the season, they were like, man, we need a middle linebacker. So I'm already mad that I'm playing line, guys. So I was like, yeah, put me back there. I'm gonna
Yeah.
turn somebody up. I was like, yeah, put me back there. And so
Uh-huh.
so for 2 years I played linebacker in junior high. Um, wasn't really sold on it, right? So once I got to high school, I'm in freshman class, like I want to run the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like they not letting me run the ball, cool. So.
Yeah.
Um, matter of fact, a couple of my friends, DeSoto wasn't that great of a, baseball school by the time we got there. So a lot of my friends who had played and who had grew up with me, they were at DeSoto like, hey man, you could come out here and really make an impact early, right? Whether that be JV varsity type thing. And I was like, okay, well, I like how that sounds. So ended up playing baseball in high school, and the rest was kind of history. But I was a football guy, man. I mean, hey, Deion Sanders, Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman. Come on, man.
Keep
What's up,
going,
man?
man. For real.
So, my favorite baseball players, Ken Griffey, whatever. But Deion, let me tell you a story. So, one of my favorite players is Deion, right? I didn't even know he played baseball in the 90s until maybe 10 years ago. I had his card and everything, and I never put two and two together that he played in the big leagues for as long as he did. So it's now he's even more of my favorite. Now that I realize, I'm looking back like, dang, he played with all these teams. Blah, 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 blah. So, I've learned to love baseball, but football is my first love. Long story short. Long story short.
So growing up in Texas, a Cowboy fan, you just mentioned some of the players you looked up to. Was there anybody else in your family or anybody around you that started off, started you off with sports besides your parents or influenced you with sports?
Yeah, so my dad played baseball, football growing up. Was a letter at Madison High School. Walked on for a little bit at Texas Tech. So, he always was supporting everything that I did in sports. My mom, of course, getting me there. She may have had her magazine or whatever, but she was there, But as far as, one of my uncles was actually the one to teach me kind of how to throw, how to hit, so I had a good little nucleus of people that helped. And he got that arm right. This is the reason I can throw today is, he figured out, Ken can throw. Cause,
Okay.
he just, I surprised him one day and, what I'm saying, hit him upside the head and he was just like, oh, yeah, yeah. So, just, I had a good nucleus that, influenced me and kept me consistent and allowed me to, grow in the game that I need to.
All right. Hey, so did you play baseball in middle school?
I did. So, at the schools, they don't have baseball, right?
Yep.
In middle school. So, of course, at the school, I did football and track, and then let's call it AAU or select baseball.
Yeah,
I
travel
did
league.
in junior
Okay.
high. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, I did that, and I loved it. Like I said, I was a football, baseball guy. Baseball, I wouldn't call it second, but I knew I loved football and baseball. I really liked it. You know what I'm saying? So they were both pretty high up on my list of sports that I love to play.
Yeah. So I understand the type of athlete you are because, I did the same thing growing up until I was a grown man as well. So, growing up in the 90s and in the early 2000s, just talk about the atmosphere in DeSoto, like where you from or whatever, playing in there. Like, I know Texas is a big football state, but you guys have a lot of athletes that play baseball or dual sports that come out of there as well. Talk about coming from that type of environment, and just like you said, the advantage of having all those coaches and people who play professionally, like basically training you.
Yeah. I would say this. When I started in the travel ball scene seriously, I was probably about 15. That was a little bit late. Because usually they started about 12, 13. And we had like a local team that we played different tournaments. We were like that, I guess you call it quadruple A. Like we weren't necessarily that high ball select team, but we weren't rec ball either, so we could beat some of those teams. So we had some good guys that I grew up with, that I just grew up playing the game with. A lot of them, of course, played varsity baseball. A lot of them, great men right now, with careers and families and wives and things like that. So and their dads were, you know, A1. You know what I'm saying? From helping us coach, just doing whatever, getting us there, whatever. So I think that was kind of the start where I could see, you know, hey, I really like the game. You know, there's some support and I I can thrive, right?
Yeah.
So that started, you know, kind of around that 12, and then once I got to high school, that's when I can't remember really, you know, kind of when we got serious, but there was a couple of tournaments that I went to. People saw me, coaches saw me, had some great ABs, and you know, once again, I'm not knowing, you know, at 15, and the rest of this is coming. I'm just playing, right? I just, you know, I'm mad that I can't play football or run the ball. Give me the football. Anyway.
I know,
Yeah.
I know, man. I know how it is, man.
Yeah.
It's like you got to come to that crossroad between
Yeah.
15 and 16, 17, where they make you make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
You got to make a
Yep.
decision, man.
And I made a
So, hey,
decision. You
but
know, freshman. Go ahead.
yeah, I was about to say, how did you do your first year in high school playing baseball? You know, your first year,
It was
was
good.
it
It was
a?
great.
Did you,
Like I said, I came fresh out of freshman league, freshman football class, straight to baseball, and took
mm,
and within a week or two, I was practicing with JV and varsity. Partially because we didn't have a lot of top line talent, but we did have some guys that got drafted, and we did have a ton of guys go D1. And when I say top line talent, I'm saying at that point, because a lot of those guys that I'm talking about were young at the time. You know what I'm saying? They were
I got
sophomores, juniors, right? So,
you.
you know, none of us are really knowing where this could go. But at the same time, there was a few kids in my class that played with me that, you know, showed that, hey, we can be on JV. And we got a chance to be on JV as freshmen. Played a few games there. Turns out we needed help on varsity too.
Yeah.
So we all got to play up as freshmen. Um, and honestly, that was, you know, one of the best experiences we could have had. It showed me what I had to work on, what I lacked, and it also showed me that I could play up there, right? I
Right.
think I didn't have, you know, the highest batting average ever, but I held my own, right? I think in district play,
Yeah.
I hit over 300. For the season, I was like 250, 260, and I ended up getting honor freshman of the year, something like that for our district. So,
Nice.
um, yeah, it was a good year, good experience, and it let me know, hey, this can happen. You know what I'm saying? Let's see where this
Mhm.
can go, and that's when my focus shifted to specifically baseball, right?
Oh yeah.
And it was, you know, turned out to be a pretty good decision for me and my family. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Okay.
Stuff, right.
So, with all that experience and playing and getting those awards your freshman year, um, talk about the competition. Did you play against some MLB prospects in your league then?
Yeah. So our, we always think back to the guys that we played against, and then we have to think of ourselves. So let me start by, you know, big up with my guys, right? I think we had about 10 guys go D1. In addition to that, not only myself, there was another young man named by Brandon Kendricks, who was 2 years older than me. He got drafted 2 years before me. So we had some talent there,
Mm.
but it was just a matter of, you know, putting it together and showing what we could do. So, you know, from that perspective, I just think we 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 were kind of naive in the sense of where we thought and where it actually went, right? But we had great talent in our space just alone, and you know, a lot of us were, you know, of course, African American. So, you know, to have 10 or so D1 slash draftable prospects is huge through that era, and that really was from 2004 to about 2013. You know, that era um, that had, you know, all those guys. So I played with a lot of guys that were great to start, and my sophomore and junior year, we went into a district with the Arlington schools, and they had Nathan Carnes, who got drafted. We played against Blake Bevan from Irving, first round pick from the Rangers. We had a scrimmage against them every year. And look, if Blake's watching, yes, I did get multiple hits off Blake. He ain't gonna tell nobody that. he ain't gonna like to. He probably gonna keep it this, but no, no, but he was a great player, great pitcher. We had Nate Carnes, Blake Bevan, of course, our two guys that got drafted. There was I'm trying to think, Joseph Leffers from Duncanville. I mean, he was the yin to my yang. He was kind of a shorter, faster guy. I was more of a bigger guy. I had some speed, but I could pop that thing, so he was the speedy guy. I was the more power guy that had speed, right?
Yeah.
But he can knock that thing out too. I think he ended up going to Howard, junior college, and getting drafted again. He got drafted out of high school as well. He didn't go, went to Howard Junior College. They won a national championship down there. So this was just within our district, right? You had multiple draft picks, multiple D1 players, just in our district. And of course, we went out and played others as well. But just in our district and just in our school, we had some talent. You know what I'm saying? And that was good, right? Because we got to show up to the park and play great talent and learn from that. You know what I'm saying? And I look back on that as a great opportunity that we had.
Sure, man. Hey, in high school, how fast you think they was throwing? What was the speed like? And what they like to throw mostly? Was it always fastballs, curveballs, or what?
Well, in high school, I mean, it's not too many people that could catch up. So there was a steady diet of 96 miles an hour fastballs from Blake and Nathan. That's where they sit in high school, 96, 97. I mean, no, they were throwing hard back then, and those were, those weren't juiced, So they had some supreme talent in those district ranks, just from the high school ranks. This is not talking, my summer league ball team and all of the, other places that I play, like area codes or all of this other stuff. I played in the Texas high school sports game, scouts game at the old Ranger Stadium. So, I was around that top talent, but every day we had guys that could go get it.
All right. So, for your team in your area, did y'all win the championship, the state championship or district?
Nah, man. So the closest we got to even making the closest we got to making the playoffs was my junior year, man. We had a really good team that year. And like I said, we had a good district. Think about it. We finished fourth that year. We finished fourth my junior year. That was our best year, and we finished fourth by one game, and they took 3 teams to the playoffs. So I think that year, I was all area, Dallas Morning News, first team our area, and the accolades were there personally, but of course, the ball didn't bounce our way to make the playoffs, and I wish, that was one of the things I wish we could have got to do as a squad. You know what I'm saying? Is get in there and show what we could do, because I believe we could have made some noise. But we had a great glut of position players, and we only had a few good pitchers, right? We still had some guys that pitched for us that went off and played at the next level, but we just didn't have enough of them. We just didn't have enough of them. Yeah, we just said. Matter of fact, my senior year I pitched. So, hey.
All right, then.
So I was looking at that earlier. Like I did do that. So, we didn't win any state championships or anything like that, but I think, like I said, we always go back to the fact that over our tenure, we had so many D1 guys, 2 draft picks out of a school that didn't make the playoffs. So that should tell you how much talent we had and how much talent that we just needed to refine just a little bit more and, you know,
Yeah.
maybe have a few more pitchers. But so yeah, that was kind of the dichotomy between the two things when I was at DeSoto, that we had great talent, but we needed a few more things to sprinkle on top of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh
But
yeah.
for, you know, 12 people plus to play at the next level, you know, that's a win for me too.
That's big. That's big.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. So coming out of high school, so yeah, you went straight to the pros. You
Yep.
know, talk about that a little bit, man, and preparing for that training, and what other teams was looking at you besides the White Sox?
Okay. Yeah, the draft process. I had a couple of teams come over. There were the Angels that came to the house a couple of times. There were the Orioles were really interested in me. The Mets. There were a lot of squads. The Tigers were very interested, but you know, honestly, I didn't even really talk to the White Sox. So before I got drafted, I went on a few, I guess, tournament showcases, if you will. One was area codes where they invite the top 100 so baseball players out, and they play a week tournament in Long Beach, California. So I did that. Once again, I did the Texas high school sports game. So and then what else was there? We went to Perfect Game in Atlanta 3 or 4 times, right? So leading up to the draft, a lot of the scouts and people saw me through those tournaments, and then they would come, you know, kind of come back to DeSoto and see me play as well, right? So as far as a lot of times I didn't know. I just was playing, right? And you know, you play the right way, people see that, and you know, they talk about that, and that's what I tried to do is, you know, I tried to play the right way, hustle. If anything, I showed too much passion the other way. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, for
You
sure.
know, I'll be on folks. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
but that was how I was. I didn't like to lose, but I also didn't want to show that we didn't give our 110% effort, because that was never acceptable to me. So, you know, going around to those showcases, also playing on my, you know, summer league team, Texas Dukes. Our coach was actually a scout. Rest in peace, Ron Sinet. But he was actually a scout.
Yeah.
So, you know, just being around that, being around those upper level showcases, those were the chances that people got to see me against supreme talent, and knowing that, hey, on a Tuesday night, Ken Gilbert versus Nate Carnes, we got to go see that. You know, going back to how our district was so strong in having certain players and certain pitchers and certain hitters on certain teams, right? So I think all of those things kind of played into, you know, people kind of being excited for me coming out, and actually me thinking, hey, I got a shot at this, right? I think I can do this. I think I'm ready to go in terms of my mentality and my body and everything like that. And I think I can make some noise out here.
And that's awesome, man. To go through that much training with so many professionals and to have a coach that's already a scout. You talk about being at the right place at the right time in the right
Place
environment.
at the right time, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Already
Hey, man.
prepared.
Hey, Jermaine. Hey, y'all so much alike, man. Yeah, the way I'm sitting here looking at this, I'm like, man, I watched Jermaine in high school and what he went through, and I'm sitting here listening to your story. I'm like, man, dang, it's amazing.
Yeah,
Hey, I love it.
text
I
me
love
earlier.
it.
He reminded me of you. And I was like, I just put the laugh emoji, haha. But let me ask you though, man. I'm just really listening and taking it in, because you kind of like, I'm not comparing stories or livelihoods, but I'm comparing like that transition being an MLB prospect in high school.
Yeah.
How big that was for coming. You know, you just doing what you do. You do what you love, and you're not really trying to aim to be, you know, a prospect. You know, to begin with, you just trying to win. You know what I'm saying, in your region and in your conference and the state championship, like the tournaments. So after all the tournaments that you showcase your talent in, there were no college scouts looking for you. They already knew that you was going straight to the league.
No, so ironically, growing up, my favorite college, of course, going back to Deion, Florida State. I wanted to go to Florida State so bad. Like that was, if it wasn't Florida State, don't even talk to me.
I was
you know,
like, you know, even though you're a MLB prospect, I know it's his favorite college you like that you probably
like,
want to
man,
go to.
Florida
I know
State,
you ain't take that out the equation. Going to the
Yeah,
college
most definitely.
and upping your stock. You know what I'm saying? For the next 4 years. Because the more you play, the bigger games you play in, the more money they're gonna give you, the higher you're gonna go in the draft. So like in your mind, you was already ready. You skipped, say, I'm done with all that. I ain't
I'm ready to go.
Dang.
Yeah. I was ready to make that leap. And ironically, and it's kind of funny looking back on it, a lot of those guys that played on an area code team with me ended up doing the same thing, right? And at the time,
easy. You
we
playing
were
with
all just,
guys.
you know, we knew, you know, we talked and everybody, you know, everybody had the college that was interested in them, but nobody knew where the draft was gonna go. You know what I'm saying? So,
that's true.
When the chips finally fell where they were, I would say like 60%, maybe 70% of the area code team I played on ended up going that year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then if they didn't, then they went in the next 3 or 4 years when they were done at Texas or wherever they ended up going.
Where they went to.
They came right on with us. Like, hey, welcome. Like we've been waiting on you, my boy. You know, so it was kind of interesting to see that now that you bring it up. That, you know, we knew, but we didn't know. If that makes sense, right? We knew it was serious. We knew what was going on, but we were playing so hard. We didn't know what it could lead to at the time. You know what I'm saying? And now looking back on it, it's like we were running smack dab into this destiny at this time. You know, we were on a collision course.
For everybody that's watching this, I just want y'all to know this is an exclusive interview. This is the first high school professional league that came on the Sports Shop 27. No college, straight to the pro.
Thank you.
But, yeah, we glad to have you on, Kenny. So let me ask you, Kenny, man. You go to your organization. Tell us about that draft, that day that you got drafted, and talk about the training camp.
Okay. The day that I got drafted, I was actually on the baseball field with my summer team, and I wasn't really even paying attention to it, to be honest. Partially because, you know, you don't want to just sit there and be like, oh my God, you know, trying to, you know, you're gonna worry yourself, right? You just let the chips fall where they may, which is what I did. So I was out playing, you know, like it was a normal day. And I think when I came in to hit, my coach was like, hey bro, you out the game. I'm like, man, what? I'm about to get mad. I'm like, coach, like, you can't do this to me. He's like, man, whatever you trying to do, you did it. And I was like, what that mean? Then after the game, you know, they paused the game actually, and everybody just kind of surrounded me and told me what was going on. And you know, I had been drafted in the 9th round by the WhiteSox. They saw my name up there, and you know, everybody was excited. And I just kind of, you know, I don't know, blanked out, but it just, you know, everything just kind of started moving in slow motion. So, So it was fun. It was interesting. And then, you know, ironically, that was the last time I got to play with my summer team. So shout out to y'all boys, the Dallas Panthers. Shout out. Everybody on the Dallas Panthers. Yeah, what's up? But yeah, those are
Uh-huh.
my guys, you know, and honestly, you know, it's kind of throwing back. I switched summer league teams to be able to play with some of my young guys because I knew that I'd never, you know, get a chance to play with some of the
Yeah.
guys from the neighborhood and you know that
Hmm.
was from the south side for me. And so I switched summer teams and I was actually with that team at the time. Shout out to Texas Dukes, Ron Stinnett. That those are my guys too, forever and ever. So Texas Dukes and Dallas Panthers were you know kind of where I was. You know, I was on the summer league circuit, and when I got drafted, it just kind of seemed so surreal. It you know, and then but that's when the business started. You know, it ended up taking about a month or so before I ended up signing and getting everything right and showing up to you know my first stop in Bristol. You know what I'm saying? Which was very interesting. It was very interesting. But yeah, that's kind of how it went, man. I got drafted. It was about a month process in there where I was just training, kind of, you know, keeping myself ready to go while they worked the contract situation out. And then once that was worked out, I packed it up and showed up.
Wow. That's dope, man. It's a dope transition. You playing, doing what you love to do already, and then your
Yep.
teammates and all the fans and their parents come telling you, "Hey, you just got drafted in the
Yeah.
ninth round.
So, yeah.
18 years old,
Yeah.
like maybe July, August. The
Yep.
season starts in October. You
Yeah.
go ahead, you know what I'm saying? Do you quit at that moment on the summer league? Do you stop because you're trying to make that transition, or do you finish out the league and then go make the transition?"
I stopped right there. Yeah, yeah.
So that was the
And
last
partially
chance.
because, you know, you start talking contracts, right? So once you
Can't get
start doing
hurt.
that, yeah, you don't want to get hurt necessarily. Um, it's a gray area, right? Because you still want to stay fresh, you still want to get at bats, you still want to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
However, if they see you out there, there's probably going to be a problem for you.
Yeah. Like you're a professional
There's
now. You
probably going
play
to be a
now, you
problem for
get
you.
off the field. You
Yeah,
know?
they're going to be like, hey, man.
Like, bro, you did
You take
you
your last
already
look.
did it.
They're gonna be like, "Hey man, take your last little at bat. That's all we can do for you." And then after that, you know, go. So you have to stay fresh in other ways. You know, keep swinging. You know, keep going to the gym. Which at that time, you know, was a different type of training um, than what they were doing at the White Sox, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was still a transition, but yeah. So from summer league, I just started working out, and then keeping myself in shape, and keeping my swing right, and then once they got the contracts right, I think it was like mid July or something like that. It wasn't. It was yeah. It was kind of late into the season, but it was like mid July. Then I finished out the season in 2007 in Bristol.
Well, I got some highlights I want to show real quick. This right here is like the history of Chicago White Sox.
Yeah. So I know you know playing on the major league. Hold on. Let me get one more in there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
Yeah,
you.
we got
The camera froze. Hold on. See, it's that weather, man.
you.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we're having a rough time.
Hey
Bear with
man,
everybody.
that's all right.
KJ, we can see you. Can you speak for us so we can tell if you're on time? You can't hear.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Well, let's go out and come back.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. He went out.
Yeah,
Can you hear?
Okay.
All right, go
All
ahead.
right. Yeah, we good now.
good.
Oh,
I
I
am.
thought you
I
was going
am.
to a
All
video.
right.
Oh,
Hey, for everybody that's watching,
okay. All right. Yeah, because I forgot the question. I had so many problems right
Oh, now he on silent.
there. We can't hear you now. Just play the video.
The credit belongs to the man who was actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust, sweat, and blood. Because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds. If he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls, neither know victory nor defeat.
WhiteSox history. Can't hear you.
He was in there. Yeah, that was a nice video. I like that.
All right. Well, let's just go with this, man. I know you played.
All right.
Oh, you like the video?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could
All
y'all
right.
hear the audio in the video? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we heard the audio. Yeah, we just can't hear
Okay.
you coming back on.
Yeah,
But
on my side, the audio went.
just go ahead.
On my side, the audio
Yeah, we
went
can
out
hear you
on
though.
the video.
Go ahead. What you were saying?
So let me ask you, talk about the organization a little bit, Kenny. The WhiteSox organization. Talk about, did they roll out the red carpet for you when you came out of high school?
Hey man, so I was a ninth round pick, but I would say this. They treated us well. I mean, there was organizations that did worse. And I don't have anything negative to say about how they treated us. When I say red carpet, I wouldn't call it red carpet. But in terms of just, some of the things that they did, some of the things that they had for us, it was better than some other organizations from what I hear. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have any quote unquote, negative things to say about how they treated us as players or anything like that. But yeah, man, it was kind of like, hey man, show up to work and get it done. And that was kind of my first introduction to like, okay, well, this is a business. You know what I'm saying? Like, even first round picks and second round picks, it was just like, let's get it. Let's start. Here's the ball, sir.
Let's get it.
Come on, Rook.
Yeah, it was more like that. You know what I'm saying? Kind of baptize you into pro ball. Like there was no, oh, this is a training camp. No, I mean if you sign this spring training, but if you get drafted, it's spring training is already done. So at some point you get baptized into whatever it is, right? So that's kind of how it goes, right? You sign, you show up, you might be in the lineup that night. Okay. Which ironically happened. I was in the line. I get there, and that night I don't play, but because I got there too late. But the next day I was playing and in the lineup.
Damn, they throw pressure on you quick.
Yeah, no. It's like, hey, let's see what we got here. Yeah, let's see what we got. So they throw it on you. And as an 18-year-old, that could be tough. That could be tough in terms of, mentally staying focused, dealing with being away from your family, being away from your parents for the first time for an extended period of time. I mean, of course, you're away from them, but an extended period of time. So all of that, that could disrupt some 18-year-olds, right? From doing what they're supposed to do. And I think, I wouldn't say I was the best in handling that, but I think I overcame being able to say, okay, well, I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? Like once I got there, I think I got a hit in my first game, but then had some struggles. So it wasn't the best little half season that I've ever had in my life. But it taught me that okay, this is it's time to go. You know what I'm saying? And there's no they're gonna throw you in there. There's no baby steps, right? You just get your butt in the box
Damn,
and
man.
and
Yeah,
earn it. Yeah,
that's kind of hard, man. Hey, so
yeah.
how many games y'all play each week, man? How many games y'all play a week?
We played about anywhere from 4 to 6. Yeah,
Still there?
you play all week. And then if you're not there, you're showing up to the yard doing something. You know, whether that's treatment, training, extra hitting, extra fielding. So yeah, you play pretty much every day. You know, 5 to 7 times. You know, I said 4 to 6, but it was probably closer to 5 to 7 because you know you maybe didn't have a break, save for an all-star break or a mid-season break. You know what I'm saying? So the only time you may have had a off day or something is if you travel, right? So you were traveling
Right.
back home or traveling somewhere far, they give you an off day for that. But it's not an off day because you're traveling. So
Yeah,
it
pretty
ends up,
much.
it ends up being an all day, everyday thing. Really, your only breaks, if you call it breaks, will be an all-star break. If you have that, but that's like a 3-day thing, and the only other breaks from there are off days and travel days and specific off days. You know what I'm saying? So
So,
so it's in there. Yeah, it's a real schedule, a real baseball schedule.
Yeah,
so is it
yeah,
still
man. Hey,
single A, double A, triple A?
Yep. Yep.
And which one did you go to?
So I got up to high A. I went up through rookie ball. I went through
That's
2
far.
rookie balls with the White Sox, Bristol and Great Falls. And then I went to low A in Kannapolis, and then I got moved up to Winston-Salem, which is high A, in North Carolina.
Okay, cool,
Yep.
cool. So you came to North Carolina and played here in the Carolinas. Talk about the competition now you faced in this region that was different from being in the Midwest.
Being in the Midwest. Okay. Ironically, going back to college, we mentioned I didn't even say that the North Carolina was one of the colleges that were actually really heavily looking at me. I did consider going there as well because I thought North Carolina. I actually really like North Carolina. I don't know why. I thought it just felt like another Dallas to me because in Charlotte we're in Kannapolis it's around Charlotte, so I just felt at home. Once I was there, but even previously, I just felt like that was a place I could always, thrive and, be comfortable in. But as far as the competition, there's a lot of good competition out there, um, from not only from the college ranks to the high school ranks. We saw, a couple of them guys down in Georgia in high school at Perfect Game, so that elite talent in the South, Southwest, Southeast. Um, what you call it, mid South, whatever you want to call it, whatever faction of the
yeah,
South you want to call it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It's some great competition. Like, hey, no, hats off. I never had anything negative to say about the Carolinas. Even when I lived there, the cities, I love everything about the Carolinas. So yeah,
Mm.
and of course, the professional talent that's there, all the professional sports teams. There's a lot of minor league teams, especially in North Carolina. I mean, it's crazy. It's like it's one on
Mhm.
in every city. Greensboro, Greensville, Winston-Salem, Kannapolis. Uh, let's keep going on and on. Durham. There's about so
Yeah,
Burlington. I mean, it goes on and on. So, to just have that many teams there, I know that the culture is there for baseball. So I respect it a lot.
Okay.
sure, man. Yeah. I know you play all the positions in the outfield. What's hard about playing the outfield to you?
Um, What's hard about playing in the outfield is
Oh,
is is just staying alert and taking the right angles, because that's all it is, right? But you don't know when that moment is going to happen, and so you got to be on point, because just 1 inch off, veer to the left or the right, now all of a sudden you miss that ball. You know what I'm saying? So I think
yeah.
outfield. I love playing center field because it was the spin and the line drives are truer, um, and you just get to go run down balls. But left and right, I really learned to appreciate, because it's a little bit harder, to get that ball when it's spinning to the left and a little bit spinning to the right, and now you got to make a
Mm-hmm.
perfect throw coming from a side angle. So there's an art form, and there's an art to playing left and right field just as much as it is to center field. So
Yep.
even though center is my favorite, hey,
Yep.
um,
Mm-hmm.
I respect all of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You have to have that timing
Yeah.
down to catch
And
that
talk
ball.
about the importance. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah,
and, and
talk
make
about the importance of like communicating out there in the outfield. Make sure you don't collide with each other. You know what I'm saying? Because I done seen a
Yeah.
couple of times where some people didn't get up.
So yeah, it's very important. I think that's the number one thing about the outfield is communication, and I think a reason why, going back to high school, that we were so great is that we communicated. We were always talking to the infielders, and a lot of it had to do with us being friends off the field. A lot of playful
Yeah.
banter was in there too, but we would. I don't even know if I should say this, but anyway, um, so we had signals in the outfield, right? And um, we would let people know by saying certain words, right? And this is in no way a shot to this area and a shot to this region. I got people from this area. These are my folks, right? So this is why we feel comfortable saying it. And I got my best friend is from this man. So around 2005, we all know what happened in New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hurricane
yeah.
Katrina.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the people from there came to the South, whether that be North Carolina, Dallas, Atlanta, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, whatever.
Yeah.
They was in the South, right?
Yep.
And so one of my
Mm-hmm.
best friends, who was an outfielder with me, he's from there. So of course we know what happened. FEMA came late, right? They came late. They didn't come on time, or whatever happens, and a lot of people ended up losing. So we always respected that in terms of what it meant, right? In terms of the fact that they don't care about us. And we took it like that. You see what I'm saying? Like it was a rally cry. You know what I'm saying? So how we would communicate is out if somebody was late on the fastball, I would tell to them, I'd say, hey man, it's FEMA. And then everybody would shift over to where he was late. You know what I'm saying? To where the ball would come if you were late on the fastball. Right? And so those were kind of the things we would say. Of course, it's high school. Hey, forgive me, people. I love y'all in New Orleans. But it was just one of those things how we communicate. So we would just pick up key words or pick up sayings or pick up something that'll let everybody know, because you couldn't tell, like, hey, man, he late. Let's go over here. It was just like, hey, this word. And then people would start moving and communicating and things like that. And so that's how we, kind of communicate in the outfield. If, some people just kind of give you that look, say, hey, man, just nod, or some people say, hey, man, scoot over. This guy, they really were informed or really were studied up on this hitter, right? So it just depended on who it was in your center fielder. I like to keep it simple in center field. I'm gonna call out a word. Hey, blah blah blah. If that'll let you know that he's late, I need you to scoot over. You know what I'm saying? Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I need you to. He a little early on it. Let's back up. Let's back this thing up and scoot over. You know what I'm saying? So, the communication piece in the outfield is huge. But how you get there and the different things that you use. Now they have wristbands and all kinds of stuff. So I think we just were able to use our smarts about the game, come up with little sayings and little blurbs that everybody knew to shape the defense.
All right.
Okay.
So so talk about life after baseball. I mean, you probably played your last game, what, 2011?
Yeah, 2013.
13. Okay. So you get to 2013 and, pretty much done with baseball. Did you win any championships in those leagues that you played in?
So in 2010, my team got pretty deep in the playoffs. The problem was I got hurt.
Okay.
So I played the first 55 games, of course, tore it up and everything, and ended up getting hurt. But we ended up going to the championship, and we ended up losing, I want to say. I forgot the team that we lost to, but we had a very good team that year. It was actually independent baseball, which is, professional baseball, not affiliated with any major league team.
Yeah.
But we had guys like Jose Canseco that played with us down there.
Gotcha.
So we had some, good AAA pitchers, just great competition, right? So much so that I ended up, going back to sign with the Giants and all that kind of stuff after I played down there. So it was basically like being back in the minor, affiliated minor leagues, but we were just not affiliated with a team. But that was first off one of a great experience, but second off, it really kind of invigorated my love for the game, and it allowed me to have fun with the game a little bit without having so much pressure. And then once I got signed back, I was able to deal with a little bit more of the pressures and things that came with it, right? Not to say that I didn't before, but you always gain knowledge through whatever battles and whatever situations that you go through. And I think that was what happened then after playing down there.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Hey, so any athlete that's going through mental health problems, do you have any message for them that's probably going through some things right now, like after sports, stuff like that? How they can get through it?
Yes. So you asked about life after sports. One thing I do now is I work with a company called Today's Athlete for Tomorrow, which is a company that empowers athletes on and off the field through marketing and education. And the education piece is robust, right? From budget to, finding, a doctor to learning about new professions to figuring out what you like in life, to deeper issues such as, whether you might have an alcohol problem, you might have got a drug problem, you might have, have some mental issues that you never really worked through that came back after you stopped playing because you never had time to deal with them. Those types of things we also talk about and have on our platform, because today's athlete for tomorrow means that today's athlete is going to influence tomorrow, and so we have to take care of today so that tomorrow can be greater for everybody else. So in terms of the mental health, everybody goes through not being able to play anymore. I ended up getting released in 2013. And I think at that time mentally I was drained. I was like, man, I'm ready to do something else. And that set me on a path through real estate and eventually, of course, today's athlete for tomorrow. And I think, a lot of people, they stop trying or they don't try as hard, and they think that they're failures or this and that because they didn't get to a spot that they felt, was great, but they don't realize that you have, brothers, sisters, aunties, kids in the community, people on Facebook, looking at you, you know what I'm saying? Hey man, if he can do it, I can do it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's people that look at you in a positive light, but we're so absolute in sports. Hey man, did you win? Did you lose?
That's right, man. That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we get jaded, it sounds different to athlete, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know, there's fans and there's people that look up to your story and that look up to what you're doing, and that has to be kind of one of your linchpins and things that you think about. And honestly, I think that'll help a lot of people because they think, you know, once
Yeah.
you're done, you know, the phone call
Over.
stop, the party stop. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? The you know
Yeah.
the extracurriculars, whatever you used to, you know, all of that kind of
You
just
used to do.
falls by the wayside. Yep. And
Yeah.
then you get to real life, and sometimes as athletes we're not prepared for it.
Nope.
Plain and simple.
Got you.
And that's okay. That's okay to say, but we don't want to say that it's wrong. We don't want to say that it's something ailing us or, you know, affecting us as athletes, and we tend to just internalize that. And some of us are okay about that, but some of us aren't. That's why you have, you know, people still dealing with mental health, people still dealing with drugs, people still dealing with, you know, random stuff. You know what I'm saying? And you look on TV and you're like, well, why is so acting like this? Well, hey, man, you know, we all people. You know what I'm saying? The man, the woman, whoever it is, could be quote unquote needing some help, and not in a bad way, right? They need somebody to talk to. Man, I don't like the fact. All right, well, bro, that's cool, but you can't go to you can't go to the Vegas Strip with no clothes on. You know, running around like you gotta you know.
You gotta have respect.
You gotta bring it back. Yeah, you gotta bring it back a little bit. You know, please. So, you know, just things like that I feel like real talk conversations. All of that is what I'm trying to, and what we're trying to accomplish through TAF is make sure that those conversations are had, those emotions are talked about, and people are not just holding those on and then, you know, doing something crazy down the road or never fixing that, and it affects some area of their life that it didn't have to affect.
That's right, man.
Well, I got a clip I want to show everybody. For everybody that's watching, appreciate you tuning in. Hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Spotify, Instagram, Deezer, and Facebook. We have former White Sox baseball player Kenneth Gilbert. All right, let's go ahead and get into this clip. We don't own the rights to it or the audio. Stay with me, Kenny.
All right. Uh-oh.
Get the audio out. It's all good. Yeah. You got a little arm on. You see it?
It's at DeSoto, by the way.
Okay.
Say that again.
This is at DeSoto, by the way.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he had no drop balls, no errors. 1,000%.
Nice. Making it a little easy.
Yeah, 8 home runs. Batting cage.
Yeah, so ironically, I made this video after I got hurt in 2010 after the 2010 season. And so I made this video after my rehab.
Okay.
Yep. So this was post rehab video. Post rehab video, man. And you know, I ended up signing that year with the White Sox again, actually. So I think this was it worked.
So it is.
It worked.
21 stolen bases. He's moving. Okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man.
What's your 40 time, if you can remember?
So ironically, I'm gonna tell you this. After that year, I went back. So I got released
Mm-hmm.
by the White Sox in 2009. And then I went to play independent ball for a year and a half. The rest of 2009, 2010, 2011, I ended up getting signed back from a tryout camp. This is what happened. I got released in 2009. I went to Evansville. I played on the field that was a league of their own. I don't know if you ever seen that movie.
Yeah.
I played at that field. That was where our field was. So 2010, I go down to Laredo. I do well, but I get hurt. I think 55 games into the season, I tear my PCL trying to slide into first base. So this is where that video comes in, right? So I do the video. I start sending it out to people. Just kind of crickets, right? So my agent's like, dude, you need to just go out to Phoenix and go to some trial camps. So I was like, okay. So, and you know, I always think about it, how God is so, he'll do stuff without you even understanding what's happening. I went out there, I went to a Rockies camp, nothing. I went to the Dodgers camp with my friend that played for the Dodgers, nothing. They didn't say nothing to him, they didn't say nothing to me. So the next day, we're sitting around, we're literally in the parking lot of the Dodgers. He says, hey, bro, the White Sox about to have a camp. I looked at him, I was like, bro, I'm not going over there. That's how I looked at him. I was like, bro, I'm not going over there. He was like, bro, just go with me. I was like, all right. That's how it happened. I was like, all right. And I kid you not, I get there. This is after the torn PCL. I haven't ran this good since, I don't think. So I get there, and instead of 60, so in baseball they run 60s, which is a 60-yard, and so my 60-yard was 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", right? Blazing would be 6'4", 6'5". Slow is 7'2". 6'6", 6'7", 6'8" is probably where most of your outfielders are, right? So I'm 6'7", 6'8" guy. They're like, White Sox, we get to the thing, they're like, hey, we're gonna run 40s. I'm looking at them like, why are you running 40s? It's not football. That's why I was like, man, I knew I shouldn't have came here. Like, man, I knew I should have came here. So anyway, I'm just shaking my head like, let's run the 40 then. So
I'd rather run down first base line to get time.
Yeah,
out.
like let's do something, you know, apples to apples, right? So 40s don't even make sense. So long story short, I run the 40. Dude clocked me. He's like, good job, Kenny. But he said it in a way that it was like he wasn't expecting me to run that fast. He was like, good job. And I was like, bro, I ain't even try because I don't want to be So I didn't try to, you know what I'm saying? So, and I'm hurt, and I'm coming back from the knee injury. So I'm like, my running, I'm like, I'm just trying to survive, right? So I ended up running a 4. I think I ran like a 4 or 5 flat or something like that. And I don't ask me to do it again. Don't ask me to do it again. Especially on, a knee, like I said, God just put certain things in place. You don't even realize what's happening. And it just happened, right? I went there, boom, ran well. We got to the outfield, threw well. They got us on, some hitting drills. I'm hitting balls out to the street, and they looking like, I didn't leave the parking lot.
Damn.
Got a contract. They pulled the golf cart back with the same coaches that released me and rode me up there with them.
Wow.
Oh my God, man.
Go back to the Giants. Same guy that took him to the gate, the same guy pick him up at the gate.
Yeah, hey. So, that's how I got back, with the White Sox or whatever. But, that that, going back, long story short, my 40 time probably about 4 or 5, but that was really the only time I had ever been professionally clocked.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
at a 40. A 60, I got a bunch of those times, but 40, this is just one time, man.
That was good.
Yeah. It was a good time to run it. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
so yeah, that was the story about how I got back with the White Sox after they released me. But it was one of those God things, and shoot, I blanked out, and it ended up working out.
So Kenny, let me ask you: for somebody who wanted to get in contact with you and they wanted to work out with you, they wanted, you know what I'm saying, for you to train them or coach them. How can they find you?
Yes, they can find me on social media, Ken the Closer. All my handles are that: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, all of that. Ken the Closer. You can find me, and I have all my links on there. Of course, my number's on there as well. So anybody that needs training, anything like that, of course, they can get with us. We have our website for Taft is growtaft.com. And that is, once again, a resource for any athlete, former, current, to, connect with people, have some education, and just, be part of a community. Because I know me and Edwin, we missed the locker room. So we want, just a community of people that's learning, growing, and empowering each other. So you can connect with me through Grow Taft and, all my social media handles.
All right, man. Hey, you having a shout out before we head out?
Yeah. I want to shout out to, first of all, my wife. Thank you for everything you do. Of course, my Lord and Savior. Appreciate y'all for having me and him allowing me to be here with y'all. My Taft team. What's up, baby?
All right.
Yeah, Taft team. Everybody, DeSoto baseball. I know some of y'all watching. All my White Sox homies. If I'm missing anybody, I love you. My family, my dad, my mom, everybody from the Gilbert family. So that's my shout outs. If I missed you, I love you. Just beat me up later.
Sure, man.
So Kenny, what's your message to the youth?
My message to the youth.
Mm-hmm.
My message to the youth is, I always say this, and it sounds simple, but keep grinding. Keep grinding and keep grinding. Because when you're up, you could go down. When you're down, you one step away from being up. So you keep grinding no matter where situation you are in life, and you'll find yourself where you want to be.
Man, that was good stuff, man.
Well, we appreciate you coming to the show, man.
Hey, I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Man.
Thank y'all. It's been a pleasure. Thank y'all.
Hey, do you know any other players like yourself that would like to come on? Professional, man, baseball, football, basketball. It don't matter.
Yeah, I got a few. Matter of fact, yeah, let's get together. I can send you a few. I got a few.
All right, man, for sure, man.
Yeah, I got a few.
Send it to my phone or whatnot, however you want to do it.
Okay, I'll send it. Yeah, matter of fact, I got one of my colleagues is a coach in the Tampa Bay Rays organization. I want you to talk to him. He's doing a lot of good things with the kids in Florida. He probably didn't know I'm gonna say this, but yeah, I've been peeping what he's doing.
Okay.
Yeah, he's doing his thing. So I'm gonna connect you with a few guys.
All right, thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
No problem, man. For everybody that's been watching, thank you for tuning in. You just want another Sports Shop 27 edition. I'd like to thank my main man, KJ, Kevin Johnson, former Clemson, 99 to 2002 cornerback, and today's special guest, former Chicago White Sox outfielder. And this guy right here now is in the real estate. If they want to get contact you with the real estate, it's the same info.
Same info, Ken the Closer. Yes, sir.
All right.
Yep, Ken the Closer. Get with me. All my link trees. You can get connected with my emails and everything, and we can get you rocking and going. Residential and commercial.
For sure, man. Hey, man, if we move out that way, man, we know who to talk to, man.
Yep. Come on.
Right there.
We got the land. Yeah, we got the land. We're ready.
Yeah, man, we in it. We in the game. But
All
yeah,
right.
appreciate you again, man.
Appreciate it, Ken.
Thank
All right.
y'all. All right.
Everybody know what our motto is. Not how you start, it's how you finish. Until next time, we'll
That's right.
see. Peace.
Peace, man.